All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys had an awesome holiday break, an awesome new year, and I am so excited to be back here bringing you guys technical analysis and more crypto content. So today we are going to do a quick deep dive on MultiVac. We're at a critical point here with this token, so want to kind of quickly dive through price and chart analysis and then some recent bullish news that has come out about MultiVac. So let's dive right in. First of all, just kind of want to recap how we've gotten to where we are. Obviously we had this nice little high back in late October when a lot of crypto was pumping. We saw that's when we were seeing, a lot of the altcoin action, Bitcoin action. And obviously we saw some more Bitcoin action extend through this, but, that led to this kind of fatter MultiVac pump. So we got up to about, 2.8 cents or so. And now we've retraced, pretty sizably back from that high. We're looking at a 70% decrease, and then over the last 3 months, a 40% flop as well. But most recently, just in this last month or so, obviously we saw that Bitcoin dump, and that's what kind of dropped us off this final cliff here, another 50%. And after we saw that dump, it was really on MultiVac to then find a floor. And so what we saw happen here was a kind of nice swooping bottom here. And that's kind of showing really, really solid support. We've also seen this line become a bottom before. We've seen MultiVac hold this level previously. So in terms of intrinsically in the chart, it is a solid spot to be. If we fell below this, so below this kind of 9-cent marker, it's likely that we go back down and find 8 cents, maybe even this is under a cent. It'd be likely that we even find, 0.8 of a cent, maybe even maybe even a half of a cent, if we cannot hold this bottom. That's why it's such a critical point. A couple things I want to point out here. When we saw this kind of swoop come into play, a lot of us were looking for a cup and handle right here, right at 10 cents. If we had kind of fixed this bounce and then formed the cup right there, we probably would have looked pretty bullish and played between these two fib levels. Unfortunately, that did not happen. We invalidated the cup and handle, fell below 1 cent, and now we are kind of at this bottom like we discussed at 0.9 of a cent. So kind of the real question is, where are we looking right now? Where could MultiVac go in the short term and long term? So I just kind of want to talk about the trend that I'm seeing right now. Since we invalidated that cup and handle, really I'm not seeing, basically all I'm looking for right now is a healthy bottom. We do not want to fall below this 0.9 of a cent marker. That's why I'm really watching this trend line. I've drawn this on some of my more kind of static charts that I keep tabs on. And we're going to want to ride this trend line as best we can and form more of a bullish consolidation pattern, and then hopefully eventually break this 1.3 cent mark. But I could see MultiVac, playing between this trend line for quite a bit of time, especially with how, sideways and then frankly, down Bitcoin and Ethereum have been. So we're going to need to see obviously some bigger moves in the crypto market for MultiVac to continue up this trend line. But again, we need MultiVac to hold the 0.9 of a cent. Otherwise, we're going back between half a cent and 0.8 of a cent. So that's why this is such a critical level. And we're going to hope as we go up this trend line, we're going to hope that as we climb this, we form an ascending triangle as we go up that ladder, which is typically a bullish pattern. So the next target from this kind of 0.9 of a cent marker, we're going to want to break, even though this is not a fib level. The next kind of target I'm looking at right here is 1.1 cents. If we can kind of narrow this trend line down, ride this up, break 1.1 cents, we're looking a lot better for this 1.3 cent and then coming out of this neckline. Longer term, or I should say midterm, we're going to be looking more towards breaking this neckline and playing between these two fibs. Short term, obviously, like I said, we want to ride this trend line, stay above 0.9 of a cent. Please watch that. If we go below that, it's going to get pretty bloody, in my opinion, because that, like I said, was a bottom previously, and structurally, it's a very confident place for the chart to be. In terms of where we are now, I know I wanted to talk about short term, but another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on here is what I'm seeing right now. So the other thing I want to note here is the moving average, particularly the 200-day. We've talked about this many times on the channel. The 200-day moving average for altcoins specifically, and then also, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum, tend to be a very, very strong support line. You rarely see the chart fall below that. And right now, we've been below it for maybe the longest time since, back in late 2020. So we've now been below the 200-day moving average for almost, a whole month, essentially, besides these kind of 2 days right here. And we're really below it. We haven't been 30% below the 200-day moving average, since, like I said, way back here in early 2021. So that is another bullish signal. In my opinion, it's rare that MultiVac is under the 200-day moving average. Typically, that's going to signal, a buy signal, but obviously not financial advice. Just another kind of iteration, another consideration for the fact that this may be the bottom for MultiVac. And that's what this is all about. That's what this update is about. We want this to be the bottom for MultiVac so we can kind of push back to the upside with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, like I said, out of this kind of hole that we've dug ourselves here, the next big midterm target is going to be out of this neckline. So this huge drop created this massive neckline that rides this half Fibonacci level, and it's at 1.8 cents, almost 1.9 cents. So looking for 1.9 cents, if you're watching MultiVac, pretty consistently, if you see MultiVac break 1.9, it's most likely that we easily break this fib and then we test this fib next. Given how tough of a resistance we're likely going to face here, when we eventually sit on top of it, I think that we'll likely break through the next fib pretty easily and then test this resistance. And then obviously we're going to have some intense resistance right below 3 cents up here. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for short term. More longer term predictions, I think we need to get more reasonable. I'm actually going to adjust what I've said previously about MultiVac. A lot of the times my predictions have been between 15 and 30 cents generally. I'm actually going to lower it this time. So I'm actually looking at, based on the fib that we've recently drawn, we didn't expect this extreme pullback, right? So accounting for this extreme pullback, I think we need to rely on the recent Fibonacci retracement and hope for 10 cents in the long term. So my adjusted prediction for MultiVac is going to be 10 cents at the end of the bull cycle. And obviously that depends on, what kind of theory you subscribe to, lengthening cycle, all that kind of stuff, whether it's going to be, middle of next year, end of next year, some people are even saying 2023 early. So it's really, really hard to say, but I think that we need to kind of readjust our expectations with MultiVac. We had this kind of extreme pullback, and now I think, reasonable long-term, we need to look at 10 cents. And obviously if we get exchange listings, if we get additional volume from that, obviously, we could see something closer to, 15 or 30 cents, right? But I think, we need to be reasonable. Everyone's trying to make, sound financial decisions. And I think, you need to take that into account, especially when we have a huge dive like this. Obviously, it's mostly because of Bitcoin and Ethereum not essentially behaving. And a lot of this can change with a strong bounce for MultiVac here at the 0.9 cent level. So that's what I'm seeing with the charts, short-term, long-term prediction. Now I want to kind of dive into what I'm seeing for recent bullish news on MultiVac. First of all, I'm seeing that during this AMA, there's a lot of rumors that they're going to be announcing some big partnerships. And so I'm very interested, and this is from the Telegram of MultiVac. Apparently it's very, very active. There has been, some conflict in there recently, and that's kind of what this is about. Been some recent FUD. And basically the admin was saying that they're going to announce some big partnerships that will skyrocket the ecosystem in the next few days. So please stay tuned. And they do have a AMA coming up with the former CEO, Dr. Sean. And he is going to be kind of talking about, obviously where MultiVac's going, announcing a lot of what's to come for MultiVac and answering any questions that will be, posted in the AMA and obviously in Google Forms. So he's having people submit up to Wednesday, and the AMA is this Thursday. So some exciting news coming out apparently, and I'm excited to see what kind of questions come up and how he answers these. Another thing to note about MultiVac is the fact that they've actually reached 4 billion staked. So this not only shows how engaged their community is, but how committed they are to the project. So this means that a ton of people who are buying MultiVac are going right to the staking site, staking it, and holding it long term. So this is great for the security of the network. This is great for the confidence in the network, and just good for the project overall. So a great milestone for them to reach just as of late. And so that kind of does it for the video, guys. Let me know if there are other projects you want me to cover. Always responding to your comments, obviously. And if you found anything valuable in the video, would really appreciate it if you dropped a like. And thank you so much. Again, happy holidays, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.